Okay, so the topic I chose to research and examine from different news outlets was J.D. Vance's announcement that the federal government is going to withhold $250 million from Minnesota for Medicaid payments. And I'll start with the titles. Um, to start, the similarities between both stories. They both do an excellent job covering the topic. They are both framed well at the beginning, and they both pull quotes directly from J.D. Vance's announcement, and then they both delve off into things that they wanted to talk about. Where one is, well, let's start with the titles. That'll help you see. Minnesota. This is Fox News's title. Minnesota remains frontline in Vance's war on fraud, and then Walt's given 60 days to clean up the systems. We can see this as a thematic title because it's drawing back to Trump's State of the Union address where he talks about the war on fraud. And that becomes a theme throughout where they tie it back to the State of the Union address as well. And then CNN's title is Trump admin halts Medicaid payments to Minnesota over fraud claims, um, which is an episodic title. This is an episode, this is one period in time. They're not drawing it back into a bigger theme. It is just talking about this specific case and the fraud claims in Minnesota. Right, so to start off, we see a big difference in what their overall message is. They are both going to share this story, but those are their two different ideas of how to share the story. Um, Outside of quotations towards the beginning of the stories, there's not a lot of similarities. Um, Fox News, one thing I have seen, Fox News talks a lot about these claims, and they don't say them as claims. They don't refer to the people that they are incriminating as people. They're fraudsters, right? That's seen multiple times throughout. They call them fraudsters. Um, and CNN doesn't refer to these people at all. They refer to what is being accused, but they don't talk about the people being accused at all. Um, Types of framing. Attribute of responsibility. Yeah, this one, as I said before, puts the responsibility on the fraudsters of Minnesota and Tim Walz, talking about, well, the reason this is being withheld is because of the fraud in Minnesota, and this is your fault. And CNN talks about how, well, there's these claims of fraud. Nothing's been proven, but payments are being withheld, right? So they're putting the blame on the federal government. Um, we talked about the headlines and then visuals. This was really interesting to me. I'm not sure if it might just be a power thing that they're trying to show. They're trying to show these powerful men, and that's. But Fox News shows four images throughout, and it's just images of the individuals, right? It's a picture of J.D. Vance, a picture of Dr. Oz, a picture of Tim Walz, a picture of Donald Trump, and the only image used in the CNN article is a picture of the Minnesota State Capitol, which I thought it was interesting. One is showing that this is a federal problem, and one is showing it powerful individuals. Um, Strengths and weaknesses of each outlet. I think that they both accomplish the task that they're wanting to accomplish and are pandering to their audience in an effective way, right? Fox News knows that their audience wants the focus to be on the fraud in Minnesota and the people doing it, and CNN knows that its people want the government to take responsibility for things that they're doing incorrectly. And I think they both do that well. I think the weaknesses of both is that at the end, they kind of go off the rails and start to use language to harm each other and harm individuals rather than just telling their story. Right at the end, it goes on this big for CNN. It goes on this thing talking about Dr. Oz, and it's 4 or 5 paragraphs talking about his alleged claims of fraud in other states and all these communities with nothing to back it up. And at the end says Oz, a longtime TV talk show host. So it refers to him informally when throughout the whole article they've been referring to him formally. And Fox News just continually throughout talks about Minnesota and how it's their fault for what they're doing when this withholding these payments is going to harm people who did nothing wrong, right? Um, how do they contribute to making me informed? Reading both of them. Um, I think reading both of them allows you to see the weaknesses in both of them. I think if you read one by itself, you would come away thinking that you had an understanding of it and not understand at the end why did they do that? Why did they try to harm each other at the end when they were doing such a good job telling the story? And so I think the thing that comes, the information that comes from reading both of them is that there's truth in both of them, and you just have to be able to cut away what is incorrect or what is there to pander to you.